En esta lección aprenderás nuevas palabras. In this lesson, you'll learn new words. Vamos a trabajar la pregunta How do you say? Que en español significa ¿cómo se dice? Ve anotando estas preguntas, son muy importantes. How do you pronounce? Que significa ¿cómo se pronuncia? How do you spell? Que significa ¿cómo se deletrea? What does that mean? Que es ¿qué significa eso? Estas preguntas son muy importantes. Anótalas en tu libreta especial, subráyalas, enciérralas en un cuadro. Son muy importantes, sobre todo la número 4, que es What does that mean? Esta pregunta te va a ayudar muchísimo en tus conversaciones en inglés, cuando de repente tengas que preguntar ¿qué significa eso? ¿Qué quiere decir eso? What does that mean? Entonces, escríbelas en tu libreta y apréndetelas. Y bueno, vamos a practicarlas. How do you say ropa in English? Clothes, clothing. How do you say calcetines in English? Socks. How do you spell socks? Socks. S-O-C-K-S. Socks. How do you say sweater in English? Sweater. How do you spell sweater? Sweater. S-W-E-A-T-E-R. Sweater. How do you say camisa in English? Shirt. How do you spell shirt? Shirt. S-H-I-R-T. Shirt. How do you say corbata in English? Tie. How do you spell tie? Tie. T-I-E. Tie. How do you say pantalones in English? Pants. How do you spell pants? Pants. P-A-N-T-S. Pants. How do you say falda in English? Skirt. How do you spell skirt? Skirt. S-K-I-R-T. Skirt. How do you say zapatos in English? Shoes. How do you spell shoes? Shoes. S-H-O-E S, shoes. How do you say saco, chamarra, chaqueta in English? Jacket, jacket. How do you spell jacket? Jacket. J A C K E T. Jacket. How do you say traje in English? Suit, suit. How do you spell suit? Suit. S U I T. Suit. How do you say vestido in English? Dress. How do you spell dress? Dress. D R E S S. Dress. How do you say guantes in English? Globes, globes. How do you spell globes? Globes. G L O B E S. Globes. What does that mean in Spanish? Ropa. How did you pronounce that word in English? Clothing, clothing. How do you say this in English? Clothes, clothing. What does that mean in Spanish? Calcetines. How did you pronounce that word in English? Socks, socks. How do you say this in English? Socks. What does that mean in Spanish? Zapatos. How did you pronounce that word in English? Shoes. How do you say this in English? Shoes. What does that mean in Spanish? Suéter. How did you pronounce that word in English? Sweater. How do you say this in English? Sweater. What does that mean in Spanish? Pantalones. How did you pronounce that word in English? Pants. How do you say this in English? Pants. What does that mean in Spanish? Traje. How did you pronounce that word in English? Suit. How do you say this in English? Suit. What does that mean in Spanish? Saco, chamarra o chaqueta. How did you pronounce that word in English? Jacket. How do you say this in English? Jacket. What does that mean in Spanish? Corbata. How did you pronounce that word in English? Tie. How do you say this in English? Tie. What does that mean in Spanish? Guantes. How did you pronounce that word in English? Gloves. How do you say this in English? Globes. What does that mean in Spanish? Ropa. How did you pronounce that word in English? Clothes. How do you say this in English? Clothes, clothing.